Hey everybody, Jared with Express Screen, and in this video I'm going to go over the installation for the print driver for the QS2536. As with any of our machines, it is very important that you install the print driver before you actually plug in the USB cord. If you plug in the USB cord, you can come up with some issues of the print driver and machine recognizing each other. So, for the most part, there are two separate ways or two different ways that you're going to get your print driver to your actual computer. The first one, obviously, if you have a disk drive on your computer, you will just take that disk and input that disk into your computer, and you'll have the files there that you need. If you happen to have a newer Mac or PC that does not have a disk drive, then we will be able to email you a link for a Dropbox file folder that will have your have all the print driver files there. So that is actually what I have done here. Is I have this zip file here is what you would actually download directly from Dropbox. And with a zip file, we are not able to actually go about installing from that zip file. So what I did was I right click on the zip file and I click extract all, and then that's going to give me this file here, this file folder, which is unzipped. And so if I go in here, I can go then double click on everything, go to install. It's going to ask me if it's okay to make changes on my Windows computer. I'm going to select English, hit OK, and hit next, and it'll essentially walk you through exactly what to do here. I can install the user guide for it's a PDF file. If you don't have the user manual, it will install it here as well. I'm going to uncheck that because I don't need to install that. It's just going to take a minute or two longer. And so, like I said at the beginning, it's very important that I do not have the USB cord plugged in. As you can see here, it will actually prompt you to plug in your USB cord. What I will normally do is I'll plug in my USB cord and then I'll turn the machine on. So I'm just going to click OK here, and it'll finish installing. And I've already plugged in my USB cord, so I'm going to turn the machine on. And sometimes we find that it is beneficial to reboot. In this video, I'm not going to reboot. I'll show you exactly what what it should look like then. So if I go down to my settings, go to devices, and then right here or possibly at the bottom you'll see devices and printers, and that's going to bring up all of the devices and printers that you have installed on your computer. And it has probably overlapped here, so I can go into, you can see I have the Riso GOCCOPRO series. What that is, that's my GOCCOPRO 100, which I did a video on just the other day. The QS2536 print driver is very similar to the 100 driver, so therefore a lot of times they will overlap them here. And I can go in, I right click, and I can go to the properties or the preferences. So here, that's just your basic Windows properties for the print driver. But to get to the actual print driver, we go to preferences, and here you see this is the actual print driver. Now, under my frame size, we are going to want to put, I can actually create custom frame sizes if I'm changing frame sizes constantly, or I can go in and I can create a preset. And the way that we do that, I'm going to hit cancel here. The way that we do that is we go back to our printer properties, not preferences, but properties. Select the QS2536 and go down here to environment. And here you see it says frame size entry. So I'm going to switch this from millimeters to inches. And the most commonly used in what comes in our packages are the 23.5 by 21.5 inch frames. So with those frames, they only fit into the machine in one direction. And so I have to put it in as my width as 23.5 and my length as 21.5. My thickness, I can leave that the same, or I can go just to 1.5 inches. I can name this the Riso quick screw frame. You can name it anything that you'd like. And then I'm going to click add. And then I can go to close that, apply, and OK. Then when I go back into the printing preferences here, you'll see I have that Riso quick frame. And then in order for my images to come out correctly, if I'm in CorelDRAW and I have it in a portrait orientation, then here I will want to just go to as you can see here, my window or my representation here is landscape. So if I go landscape, it's going to turn it portrait, and that way I'll end up burning the screen correctly. All right. So you always want to do that. If I were to hit apply here, that's going to default the Riso quick screw frame and landscape every single time. If I do it through the devices and printers, and I click apply, make any changes to the print driver here, click apply, it's going to automatically save those. So every time I go into CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator, I should see these settings already there. If I go here to image, this is very similar to the GOCCOPRO 100 print driver. Here the screen frequency, that is if I'm doing halftones, I can change my screen frequency as well as the angle of that halftone dot. So halftone dots aren't exactly circle, they're more oval, so they actually have an angle to them. With our 120 mesh for any of our machines, we have found that 60 frequency and 45 angle will pretty consistently give us the best possible look. We also have settings for if you were doing like a 200 mesh or even a 70. I wouldn't really recommend doing a halftone with a 70 mesh. But that's under my screen covered. If I was just going to do just a solid, I could just do grain touch. Most of the time I'll leave it as just screen covered. The print driver itself is automatically going to recognize a vector portion of my image as solid, and a raster image portion of my file or whatever as a halftone. So that is, that's pretty much the type of changes that I make. I can get in doing some of this stuff down here, but I really don't. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. That way that also gets saved. So no matter if I'm doing vector or halftone, it gives me that the correct LPI and degrees there if I'm using 120 mesh. So that is your installation for the QS2536. If you guys have questions or issues, you can always call us here in the office. It's 800-597-9530. Or you can reach out to us on any of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And if you haven't done so on our social media, go out and like us, follow us, subscribe to us, because we're consistently putting new content out. Probably how you are watching this video right now is on one of those social media platforms. So it's a great way to continue to learn about your system or learn about your perspective system out there. And so Like I said, if you guys have any questions or issues with this print driver installation, you can give us a call here in the office, 800-597-9530. Thanks.